Hi, and welcome to this presentation on Avoka Form Factory for Adobe Livecycle. First of all, a little about Avoka. We're an Adobe Gold solution partner that's been specializing in Livecycle solutions for over 5 years. We have over 100 customers with Livecycle applications successfully deployed that we've worked with over the last 5 years to help implement. We specialize in both sales, support, and full application service development for these organizations. Over the years, and based on a lot of customer experience, we've developed a number of pre-built solutions that fast start or quick start customers getting up to speed utilizing the benefits of the Livecycle platform. These include our SmartForm Composer product and Form Center, which combined we call Forms Factory. So let's take a step back for a moment and have a look at why electronic forms matter. First of all, and most critically, 85% of all business processes start with a form. So if we can make it a lot easier to ensure that we eliminate errors and streamline the data collection process right from the very beginning, it's going to make a very big difference to automating business processes and streamlining your business. Particularly if you're focusing on a paperless initiative, getting the data collection right at the beginning not only obviously eliminates paper, but perhaps more importantly, really starts to improve efficiency within your organization. And by getting it right at the beginning, you've got the opportunity to streamline your processes the whole way through. So the vision here is to really create an environment where it's easy for a wide range of people to be able to create and publish electronic forms. We're certainly not suggesting everyone in the organization, but we really need to be able to cater for business analysts, for creating basic forms, for more sophisticated developers, creating more sophisticated forms and being able to publish them into your forms management solution so that they can be published through various portals and act as a hub for the incoming submissions so that they can be distributed or handed off to the associated back-end business processes. So let's take a step back for a moment and talk about Adobe Livecycle. Adobe Livecycle is a suite of products, components, really that typically run on the server that enable organizations to build or implement quite a diverse range of applications. And they can be broken down into the components that come, or the modules that come with Adobe Livecycle can be broken down into 3 distinct areas. Those that cater for providing rich internet application services. So that's the first category of components for Livecycle. Next, we have the business process management automation tools. So that's really a workflow or a process management product that enables workflows to be streamlined and lies behind many of the other associated Adobe products. And then document services. And this is typically where the forms technology fits in and provides a rich array of capabilities. And all targeting a variety of different user interface capabilities for your organization. But at the end of the day, there's still a job to actually develop and deploy a solution that leverages this technology. And that's exactly where Form Factory fits in. Form Factory is a pre-built solution that sits on top of the underlying Livecycle services and implements a rich pre-built solution that enables organizations to get up and running very quickly with the Livecycle solution. As we mentioned earlier on, we introduce our SmartForm Composer product, which is really a tool designed for business analysts or sophisticated users, perhaps in your forms development area, to rapidly produce electronic smart forms. Form Factory also caters for other tools to create electronic forms, such as Adobe Livecycle Designer and Form Guide Builder, but they're targeted more at application developers, people with some programming skills. And then the Form Center product, which is really designed to act as the distribution hub and deployment service for managing and deploying your electronic forms. And it provides a very sophisticated administration console designed to cater for help desk operators, operational staff, form developers, form testers to publish and manage their content. It's a little like a web content management system, but very specialized around your forms process and business processes. Here's another view that displays a high-level architecture diagram of the main building blocks or the main implementation technologies behind the solution. So first of all, what most organizations want to be able to do is to make or publish their forms through various channels. They could be through their website, so the internet channel, for customers to be able to fill in forms and submit forms and track forms, through their employees, through intranets, so that any internal forms can be accessed easily, like searched, found, and applied for easily through their intranet, through call centers, where specialized staff can help streamline the appropriate or initiate the appropriate back-end business processes. Of course, we also need to be able to cater for paper-based submissions, and we can talk more about that later. And more recently, we're also finding a big application in a lot of organizations for disconnected workers, people that are actually out in the field doing surveys or conducting audits. And we've built a very powerful capability in Form Center to be able to synchronize a set of forms down to a remote desktop in an application called Adobe Air that enables a set of forms to be filled in offline, and then will automatically synchronize, upload the results of those forms and synchronize them. And we're using them in several large clients today. So that's how the users find and locate the forms and interact with the environment. On the server side, we've got our forms management solution that's catering for both business users and advanced form developers to create the content and to be able to publish that into this environment, and then administrative and operational staff to actually control and manage the publication of these forms. So some fairly sophisticated capabilities in that area to control and manage the publication. And then, of course, behind the scenes, we have all the capabilities of the Adobe Livecycle platform, providing the services that are utilized within the solution, the form rendering, flattening of forms, generating print documents, even doing things like electronic signature capability and rights management behind the forms, or that can be integrated with the forms. It's also important to realize, though, that as we said earlier on, 85% of all business processes start with a form. And so for every form that's deployed in the system, we want to be able to pass that data across to the appropriate back-end system and to be able to initiate a workflow or a business process or link it into legacy systems. And so Form Center caters for a variety of different channels to be able to pass that data across and to interact with that. Now, commonly, a lot of organizations use the Livecycle workflow or process management tool to automate various types of business processes. It could be as simple as an approval process for a leave or travel request, through to much more sophisticated solutions. But in other organizations, such as the Australian federal government, we want to be able to push the data onto an enterprise service bus and deliver it across to major agencies that may then want to integrate that information in with their own back-end system. And our solution is fully designed to be able to segment your forms into different departments or owners, and to be able to push that data through to their organization-owned back-end systems. And that includes legacy systems such as SAP, or eventually integrate the system perhaps with a document management solution as well, perhaps for archiving purposes. So let's just walk through a very high-level workflow that's fairly typical of an interaction with this environment. So it all starts off with the self-service portal. Now, when I use the term self-service portal here, what I really mean is this is typically integrated into either an existing intranet application or maybe customer-facing website. It's not typically something that's a standalone application in its own right. So really a web application that's designed to be built into your existing infrastructure and incorporated within that, but customized very much to suit your requirements. The very first task users want to be able to do is have a variety of techniques for finding the actual form that you're actually looking for, and Form Center and the portal cater for that, and I'll demonstrate that in a few minutes. The next step that's pretty common is being able to pre-populate the form with data. Now, the data could be a customer profile that's managed through your website, or it could involve looking up data on a back-end system and perhaps using a web service to do that. And we make it as easy as possible to collect that data and pre-populate that into the form itself. Next, the user fills in the form, and they can fill it in their web browser, or in some cases they can save it offline for PDF forms. And we also provide a facility where the form can be partially saved online as well. So if it's a moderate size form, a user may need to go and check some reference data, they can save the form and come back and open it up again later on. Next, the user needs to be able to submit the form, and during the submission process, there's really three things that may need to happen over and above submitting the data to Form Center. First of all, in a lot of situations, we need to collect payments that are associated with the form, and we provide integration with a variety of payment gateway services. We also enable attachments to be associated with forms, and we find it's a very common requirement that attachments need to be uploaded as part of the form submission process, and we make it very easy for users, first of all, the form developer, to be able to configure that as part of their requirement when they deploy their form. And then finally, and it's not shown on this diagram, but we also provide a very nice click-through signature capability for collecting electronic signatures where the user doesn't have to have a digital certificate installed on their own computer, and I'll demonstrate that once again shortly as well. Having received the form submission, we've really got two main responsibilities at that point in time, typically in mostly use cases we see. From a customer's or an applicant's perspective, they typically want to get a receipt of the submission that they just made. So we typically put up a confirmation or thank you page that's once again branded to your organization's requirements, saying thank you for submitting this form. Click here to save a record for your own records of the submission, or they can also go back to the self-service portal and view a submission history and save it from there as well. So having dealt with the applicant, the next job in the Form Factory or Form Center environment is to really then deliver the data and any attachments associated with the submission to the form owner and to the back-end business process that may be associated with that. And we have a variety of different delivery techniques to be able to implement that. It could be as simple as initiating a Livecycle workflow, but it also could be a workflow from another vendor's or from a legacy system internally. No matter what that system is, there's typically key milestone or points that occur in that workflow, such as an approval step where a business user may approve an application. And business users can log into either that legacy workflow system or or a web application to perform that approval. And then once that approval's done, we're able to receive status updates that we can then notify to the applicant of that status update. So now let's go across and have a demonstration of some of these capabilities.